He served in the Marines for 8 years. He saw combat. He made it home. But the hardest battle he ever fought wasn't overseas. It was right here, in his apartment in Dallas, Texas, long after the uniform came off. His name is Thompson, and his story is one that millions of veterans, and frankly, millions of us, live every single day. After leaving the military, Aaron couldn't sleep. And it wasn't just the nightmares, though those came too. It was the crushing, deafening silence of civilian life. Everything felt wrong, alien, emails, bills, traffic jams, bosses who didn't understand urgency, deadlines that felt meaningless. In the Marines, life was fast, precise, and every second mattered. Out here, everything moved at a snail's pace. It demanded a kind of patience he just didn't have anymore. For a long time, he coped the only way he knew how, with numbness. He built walls around himself, isolating from friends and family. He was angry, irritable, and eaten up by a guilt he couldn't name. No one understood. They didn't get why he'd snap over something as small as a misplaced set of keys. They couldn't see why a car backfiring sent his heart into his throat. They wondered why the guy who used to be the life of the party now sat silently in the corner, disconnected from everyone. All Aaron wanted was to be normal, but normal felt like an impossible dream. He felt like a ghost haunting his own life. I want you to imagine this for a second. One evening, Aaron is sitting alone on his balcony, the city lights of Dallas twinkling below him. And in the quiet, he whispers to himself, a question that felt heavier than any gear he ever carried. I survived the war, but can I survive life? The answer wasn't there. It wasn't obvious. And that silence was terrifying. So he tried. He really did. He went to therapy. He tried to distract himself with hobbies, with work, anything to fill the void. He started working longer and longer hours, burying himself in tasks, hoping to outrun the chaos in his mind. But nothing worked. The emptiness was still there, waiting for him at the end of every day. Until one morning, one ordinary Tuesday morning, something shifted. It wasn't a lightning bolt or a grand epiphany. It was a small, quiet decision. He woke up and decided he was tired of waiting for a mission. He would build his own, not a military mission, not a battlefield mission. This was a personal mission, for his own survival. He started small. He put on his old running shoes and just started running again. Not for physical fitness, not to get back in shape, but to feel that burn in his lungs, to feel in control of his own body again, to reclaim that simple power of putting one foot in front of the other. Then, he bought a cheap notebook and started journaling. He wasn't writing for anyone else. He was writing to finally confront the thoughts he had been burying for years, to drag them out into the light so he could see them for what they were. His next step was maybe the hardest. He walked into a local veterans center and offered to volunteer. He wasn't looking for a pat on the back or some kind of recognition. He was looking for purpose. He was looking to reconnect with that sense of brotherhood he'd lost, to be around people who just got it. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, things began to change. Days turned into weeks, and weeks into months. Aaron was learning a new kind of discipline. He learned that discipline outside the uniform wasn't about following orders from a superior. It was about giving orders to yourself, especially when every part of your mind is screaming at you to stop, to give up, to retreat back into the numbness. And then the small victories started to appear. A quiet, meaningful conversation with another veteran who was fighting the same battle. A morning jog completed without the crushing weight of anxiety. A stack of bills paid on time, without the usual panic and stress. These weren't battlefield triumphs. There were no medals for this, but for Aaron, they were everything. He started to see that success didn't require an enemy or a war zone. It required consistency, it required courage, and it required the willingness to face yourself in the mirror every single day and choose to fight. By the time he was 35, Aaron had built something new. He founded a small consultancy, a humble operation dedicated to helping other veterans transition back into civilian careers. He didn't have a flashy office or a fancy title. He wasn't famous, but he had results. He had veterans finding jobs, reconnecting with their families, and finding their own new missions. He had lives that were being changed, one at a time. And most importantly, he had his purpose back. One afternoon, a young veteran, barely out of the service, came up to him after a workshop. The kid looked at him and said, "Man, I thought I'd never adjust. I thought this was it for me. You made it look possible." Aaron just smiled, because he knew the truth. It was never about making it look possible. It was about the quiet, unseen work. It was about living it, one difficult, messy, beautiful day at a time. Aaron Thompson didn't magically escape PTSD. The scars of war don't just vanish. He didn't suddenly wake up one day and become normal. He did something far more powerful. He reinvented himself. He reclaimed control. He built a new life, brick by painful brick, that mattered. And here's the truth that so many of us, veteran or not, need to hear today. The struggle is not a sign of weakness. Your invisible battles are real battles. They are just as valid, just as difficult, and just as important as any battle fought on a physical field. And recovery, it doesn't need to be fast. It doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to be consistent. If you are out there right now, facing your own invisible struggles, whether they're mental, emotional, or just the weight of the world, I want you to hear this. You don't need to have it all figured out. You don't need everyone to see your fight. You just need to start. You need to take back control of your life, one small, deliberate action at a time. Just like Aaron, go for that run. Write that first journal entry. Make that call. Take that first step. Aaron Thompson didn't just survive life after war. He became a leader. He became someone worth following. And so can you. Thank you for watching. If this story resonated with you, please share it with someone who might need to hear it. And remember to subscribe for more content that matters. Take care.